Hi guys, welcome to Not Just Boxing Podcast. We're here with our first personal trainer coming on, James O'Neill. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Very well. You?
Yeah, I'm great.
Good.
Beautiful day, Maidstone Town.
It is a beautiful day. We're in a new location as well. Ken?
Yeah. Well, yeah, at the base of Ecotech, mate, as well.
Ecotech, yeah, one of our sponsors.
Maidstone. Yeah, it's a good place to be.
Amazing.
Good place to be. But
How was golf this morning?
yeah, it was alright, mate. Just getting into it. So it's, for me, loads of like foundation building. So it's like, yeah, hard work, a lot of mental fatigue and stuff like that. But no, it's going alright.
Do you know what I was saying before? I've never been one for golf.
No?
What was the attraction with golf? I see more and more people that want to play golf now.
Yeah, I think the thing is when you're like a youngster and you're doing like football, boxing in your case, it's like, I don't know, it's just like you're in the fast lane, innit? And you think, oh, golf, no, it's just walking around hitting a golf ball. But I think when you're on a golf course, there's so much creativity and shape and feel about it, you know? It just, I don't know, you got to get creative. And if you're quite a creative person, it does become good fun, you know? So I think, yeah, that's what got it for me. It's like when you get, yeah, it's like, you know, when you hit a good golf ball, you're like, yes, that's what it's all about.
The ping, the noise,
yeah,
right?
And then you hit 10 shit ones, you know, you're snapping clubs and shit. But it's, no, it's all good fun. It's all fun.
Well, because I'm bad at golf, I can't play it.
No?
Like, I can go to a driving range, but going on like a 18-hole course that you've done, it is.
It's different, especially when you're hitting, you know, all the situations, the environment set for you at the driving range, and then you get on the golf course, you think, shit, you're hitting a ball that's 1 foot higher than, you know, your normal standing length. It changes completely. But golf's good, mate. It's good. You get your steps in as well, so it's always good.
Good, yeah. So
decent.
You've always been active. I've known you pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
What got you into personal training? When did you start?
For me, really, it was a phase where, you know, 17, 18, you don't really know where you're at with life. You know, you're going out partying and stuff like, well, I was anyway, going out partying, and I don't know, it gets to the point where you're like, fuck, what am I going to do with my life, you know? And for me, I've always enjoyed fitness, always enjoyed, you know, running, keeping fit, football and stuff like that. And I kind of thought, just give it a go, you know, just maybe become a personal trainer, help people with their own fitness and see how it goes. And yeah, for me, it was a hard one because I've never been like an outgoing and like, you know, extroverted person. I'm very chilled and mellow. And I thought, is it for me, you know, can I go into that environment? And you know, you got to push yourself outside your comfort zone. And you know, as time's gone, I think people really liked my relaxed, you know, energy, because they come in, you know, if you're coming to a gym first time, you're going through all sorts of different emotions, you know. Some people are very anxious, scared, especially for like a boxing gym, mate. You know, you walk into a boxing gym, you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
So if you can come in and make people feel comfortable and relaxed, you know, it's the good first step to any good relationship, you know, is helping them feel relaxed. So I think for me, that's helped. And yeah, I think I got into it, mate, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I thought I enjoy fitness, give it a go. I've never turned back since. So
and what I like is, with your sort of style and method of coaching, you're all about the whole healthy mind, healthy body. You're not just about, you know, calorie deficit, lose fat, you know. You're a lot more, enjoy your life.
Of course.
Have a lot of balance.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, you know, because, you know, I know you two are saying, like, you know, knowledge and information, but I think nowadays, you know, we're drowning in knowledge and information. Yet, you know, obesity's going up every year. The amount of health clubs are also getting higher each year. So the correlation doesn't, you know, it doesn't meet the same direction. So it's thinking like, why is this happening, you know? So I think for me, it's more in between what's going on in between your ears, you know? So, and if I can help people, especially from a coaching point of view, people that come in and understand what's going on in their head and working with that rather than just applying information all the time, I think that's where all the value's at, you know. But of course, people have got to know what they're doing to a certain degree.
Not Just Boxing are here to announce our proud sponsors, ETS.
Yep, Eco Technology Solutions, specialise in the repair of laptops, tablets, mobile phones. They help businesses and consumers in the southeast.
So if you use the code FIX with Not Just Boxing, you'll get 25% off. The link is in the description. Go check it out.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
It sounds like there's a lot of psychology behind your sort of training.
Massively.
If you go into gyms, some people just say, hey, get on a run machine, do 5k, you know, or do 1k first and then build it up.
Yeah, of course.
But there's so much more you have to get yourself mentally ready for getting into a gym.
Definitely.
And I like that element that you're giving people. It's not just getting in there lifting weights.
No, of course
it's the science behind it.
Yeah, definitely.
Setting out a plan. So that sounds good, man.
Yeah, and obviously you've got to express that's the, you know, the basic elements of fitness. People got to understand that, you know. And I think the good entry point is to people, and I say to them all the time, you know, it's not about how much you lift, it's about how efficiently you can, you know, shorten and lengthen a muscle. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. You're not really looking to do more than that. I mean, from a strength point of view, fair enough, it's more about, you know, how quick can you shift the weight from a dead point. I think for boxing and stuff like that, it's great for that, you know, like things like a deadlift, things like a pause squat. Rather than going to a squat and like using that momentum to bounce, can you go low and see how much force you can apply from a dead position, you know?
Which we've seen over the last few years, how much strength conditioning has come into boxing.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, mate.
But when I was boxing, there was no go for your running.
Yeah.
Go for, you know, get to the gym. Old school mentality.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing strength and conditioning come in. We had a nutritionist come in a few weeks ago. How much nutritionists can help change it as well. Yeah, so I think it's definitely helped people get stronger and get faster as well. You mentioned short and lengthening.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Well, to keep it simple, you know, you got a bicep.
Yeah.
If I extend my arm, that's extension of the joint. I'm also extending my bicep. As I curl in, then I'm shortening that muscle fibre. So a lot of people come into the gym, you see them swinging weight, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, mm-hmm. And that's, you know, by you swinging, you're no longer using isolating the muscle group. So I say to people, I'd rather you clamp your arms and then fully extend and lengthen, because then you're actually getting more isolation through the muscle.
There might be better ways of teaching technique.
When people understand that,
certain types of people, it's not one size fits all.
You know, overcompensating your body, it then helps them understand, like, you know, if you do maybe reduce the weight a bit, isolate the muscle, you're going to get so much more out of it.
Great,
you know, but in some cases it is fine to swing. You know, if you're doing something like you're overexerting an eccentric, so the lowering phase, yeah, fair enough, swing it up and then really lengthen on the way down.
So like a pull-up.
Like a pull-up, yeah. Cheat on the way up, down slow. It's a great way to build up a pull-up, you know, because you can always overexert the lengthening phase of a movement rather than the shortening. So it's always a good
keeping the muscle under stress for a certain amount of time.
For sure.
So like if you're doing a bench press, if you can do a certain set, that maybe you can keep your chest engaged.
Yeah.
For, you know, like maybe
a longer period.
You are going to have better gains.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people are just bouncing it and just, you know, they're not actually engaging any muscles correctly.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to it. And as I say, some cases it's fine to not have perfect technique. You know, if you look back at videos and pictures of people, especially like Arnold's era, Ronnie Coleman, mate, their technique is not great, you know, but they're some of the wellest built people that have ever lived on this planet. So, okay, I agree with technique to a certain degree, but it's like, you know, boxing as well, it's like golf, not everyone's technique is the same. You know, technique isn't this perfect ball, you know, that has no roughs or edges. It's everyone formulates their own technique. And you go with that, you know. It's okay if your back's slightly round on a deadlift, as long as it's fixed, you know. It doesn't have to be like this squared like tempo the whole way. It doesn't, you know. And that's okay. But as I say, every person you see in the fitness industry will have a different view on it. Whereas for me, I've done a lot of different sports, so I understand that technique isn't linear, you know. Technique's so different across so many different people. You know, there isn't one size fits all of it. So
it's good you say that, because we're hopefully going to be getting a lot of coaches on very soon, and the way you can teach different punches, different movements. Obviously, where I've been to Australia and that, I've learned so many good methods of throwing the same punch, where I've just sort of found my own way of doing it, and it's easier for me to teach it, because some people might have, I don't know, bad shoulders, or so there might be better ways of teaching technique.
Yeah, for sure.
Certain types of people. It's not one size fits all.
No. And I guess at the end of the day, you know, imagine if Muhammad Ali got taught conventional boxing, hands up, guard down, would he be the same person he was in a boxing ring? You know, and that just says it all, really. So
I think that's a good thing for a coach to be able to do.
Yeah.
Be able to differ for the client that's in front of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Understand their clients and, you know, do a program or do a boxing program, whatever they're looking to do, catered for that client. Indeed.
Yeah, definitely.
And it looks like that's what you do with your clients.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, in terms of the kind of people I train, I don't really focus too much on specialised athletes, whereas I know you two are a bit more heavily involved in that. For me, I like to train a beginner. I love seeing the development of someone, you know, that can come in, you teach them the basics, you know, and you can send them away and they kind of get the rest of the growth themselves. But it's important that they, within that first kind of, even if it's 3 to 4 month period, as long as they understand all the basics, things like, you know, calories, things like how to train properly, you know, not overtraining and stuff like that. And then you can give them a bit of a program to follow, then happy days, you know. I think the worst thing for a PT is that you have a client that stays forever You know, it's like being a driving instructor. You never get rid of your client. You're like, fuck, mate. You know, this guy's been here for 3 years. He's still here. But it's, you got to, I think that's, for me, I'm not money orientated. So it's, for me, it works really well. I'm happy just to tell people I don't want you to pay me anymore. Like, you know, you're ready to go out there.
Yeah.
Because I want people to do that for me. Like, I wouldn't want someone to just keep taking money off me, you know. Teach me how to do it myself and let me go and do it.
Yeah.
What's the progression been like of your coaching? Because obviously you've learned so much and you're still learning. You won't ever stop.
No.
But what was you like when you first become a PT? Was you like, right, we're going to do 8 weeks? Were you quite regimented? Did you have a plan in your head that you thought was a lot better compared to now, where you've learned from maybe a lot of mistakes?
I think with it is like, you think people can train and do what you do. You know, like it just isn't that case at all. Like I can easily do like a perfect, you know, deadlift, whereas some people can't even do a hip hinge. So you're trying to coach people in a certain way and give them different cues and explain it to them in different ways. I think that's the key, really, that over time I've been able to see how someone operates best, you know, and kind of allow them to see the best way in which they can develop. So I think it's how you talk to people, really, and the way you put it across to different people, because the same way you learn might be different to the way you learn. You know, everyone learns differently. Some people, you know, are better looking at a video, their technique, others are better through film. So I think the ability to be able to talk to people in a certain way and help them understand is something that just comes over time, really.
Yeah, definitely motivating them, and it's not one size fits all.
It isn't, no, it isn't. But I think the main thing with it all is that people, every person you see come in, you know that it's the battle straight away is in the mind, you know. Like anyone that comes into that gym, I know that we're working on the body, but it's the mind that's getting stronger for the body to improve, you know. And I just love the mental warfare, mate. You know, it's the biggest battle that all of us are going to face in life, and it's one that you want to try and master as best you can, because, as I said before, you can have an abundance of information, but if you don't know how to apply it, you know, you just stay stuck where you are for the rest of your life, you know. So that's the fun part for me, is trying to get someone in and helping them to understand how to get
it's like that mentality. If you want anything in life, you have to fight for it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If you want to lose weight, it's not going to happen by sitting down on your couch.
No, of course not.
You have to go and get it. You have to get to the gym, get personal trainer if you need that support, and you know, get going for it.
Celebrate the little wins as well. If you get someone that has that first effort to come in the gym, and just all those little things that we take for granted, you know, like doing a warm up nicely, and you know, for them to celebrate the little wins on the way, it really keeps you disciplined and motivated to keep going back.
Definitely.
I think we forget that as well. Celebrating the little wins, like going to the gym. Even for me, I'm so tight, Ashley, I tell you. Yeah. Getting up in the morning, doing a stretch, getting up and going. Not like that. But no, stretching wise, just getting up and going for a little stretch. Yeah. That's a win.
It is.
For me, it's just to say, okay, now I've set my day up right. I can go and do something, and it gives you that mental, sets you up better mentally as well.
Yeah, I think talking about small wins, it's important, because otherwise the journey is such an uphill struggle. You know, if you don't celebrate small wins, I think it becomes like an never ending hill, you know, especially if you don't enjoy that journey. That's, you know, it's a killer on the mind, you know, you're going to give up quite quick. So whereas if you're enjoying something you do, you know, do what you do, enjoying happiness rather than like, you know, resentment and like, oh God, I don't want to do this today. I think that's important. But I think that comes to as well, like goal setting, you know, how people are setting their goals. You know, are you actually coming to the gym to lose weight, or are you becoming because of other things, you know? Most of the time, most people say to me, I want to lose X amount of weight, blah, blah, blah. But when you start talking to them and understanding what's under all them layers, there's a lot more behind it. And most of the time it can be insecurities, you know, it can be past traumas, relationships that really make them feel shit, you know? So for me, it's like asking the right questions, get that out of someone. Whereas some people, you know, in the boxing scene, they're hungry, you know, they want it. So if you've got someone like that you're training, it's great, because they're just in there because they want to be in there and they get putting in the hard work. So, but yeah, I think setting goals and, you know, making sure you're having small wins along the way is important, because it gives you that bit of a rush, doesn't it?
Hey, how do you set your goals, and how do you celebrate your small victory? Do you have like a diary that you write little victories in that you do, or is it?
I've changed it a lot over the years.
Yeah,
you know?
It's evolving it, right?
Massively. And like sometimes you're like, yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. But it becomes a bit robotic, and like there's no like don't know, there's not a lot of like spirit behind the goal, you know, whereas like sometimes if you're like, I want to be the world champ, you know, that's such a great goal in itself. It doesn't have to be a yearly, quarterly, you know, just saying that someone wants to be a champ is like such a big driving force. And for me now, it's more about what is the chief goal, like what is the main goal, and making sure I'm doing things daily. And I don't really look that further past that. For me, it's like, what can I do today that's really going to...
It's winning the day battles, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You win the day battles, then you win the week's battles, then the months, and then years, they all come into it.
Yeah, so I think sometimes if you're over... So everyone works differently, but I think I overanalyse way too many things. Like what you said before, you like to know the science, but sometimes that can really become an enemy. Like, especially like things like, I don't know, like... I know I'm saying golf a lot, but when you're on a golf course and you overthink every small movement, it just all falls apart. Sometimes you've just got to take a deep breath in, deep breath out and hit the ball, because you just got to go by how you feel rather than like thinking all the time. If you're thinking all the time, you know, you're wasting energy and, you know.
And you're not used to it, especially in boxing. Boxing, you can think a little bit, but it's very instinctive sport.
Yeah, I bet.
You have to be...
If you think, you lose really in the ring. Like if you're sparring and you have to start thinking about what you're throwing and stuff, a lot of the time, you know, you're not flowing.
No.
Like if you can go there naturally and you can just have fun and enjoy it, you'll be throwing shots naturally, and you can do a lot better than if. Well, for me personally, I don't think right. I'm going to hit him in the body now. Or I'm going to do. You do it. You see it opening, you take it.
Yeah, there is when you get, there is thinking that you need to do as you get things. You need to set up your attacks, think of what you can do.
Naturally though.
Yeah, that comes naturally, but it comes naturally. But then there's parts where you have to think. What's my opponent doing? How can I overcome that? And most of the moves do come instinctively.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're putting that time into training and thinking, then you know you'd hope that carries across into the ring, don't you?
You sort of want to be autopilot, you know. Whilst you're doing your technique sessions and you're maybe practicing slipping a certain punch, and when you see that punch come, you naturally you want to practice that in a training session. So when you are actually fighting, that's how it is. But back to what you were saying with your clients. Obviously, a lot of the time it's deeper problems. They don't just want to lose X amount of weight. I feel most people just want to feel confident, right? They just want to feel good in themselves, and they just want to feel like they're on a path to doing the right thing.
Yeah, of course.
And just by having them come to the gym and celebrate them little wins that they've already won, really, it doesn't matter if they lose that X amount of weight they originally thought.
Yeah. I think it's trying to make sure people understand that as well, is that just by you being here today is already a great step, you know, like I think that's one of the hardest battles is getting to the gym, and everyone's different. So you might be the fittest person in the world, and like you think, how people find it difficult to get to the gym? Like for me, that's bread and butter. You know, I could go to the gym, not think about it. But mate, so many people out there struggle getting to the gym. You know, for me, it's quite easy. I get there and I enjoy workouts. That's who I am. But yeah, I think people need to really try and take a bit of pressure off themselves as well. Like too much pressure, too much stress in people's lives, and as we said before, like gym and exercise, another stress you're adding on top of all the other stresses. So if you get someone that comes in there, you can tell like their lifestyle is just all over the shop. If you're then applying more stress on top of a very stressful lifestyle, it isn't going to do it any good. So sometimes for me as a coach, it's understanding when's the right time to push them hard, when's the right time to have a bit more of a chat and see how they are.
So if they're having a good day and they're comfortable, you're like, right.
Yeah, it's time to get to work. Yeah, exactly. And then if they're telling me, you know, they've had big weekends out and stuff like that, it is okay, fair enough. You might not be feeling great today. We're going to work you hard because you had a bad weekend, you know. For me, I like that though. I like to say, like, it can't be fun, you know. It's not real life, you know, at the end of the day. So I think sometimes something I do as well, if I'm, you know, not doing things I say all the time, I do give myself a little bit of like a talking to, like, right,
look in the mirror,
run and let's fucking go through a bit of pain, you know, because you've been on the back foot for too long. So, and stuff like cold exposure, you know, I use that as a great tool for, you know, again, use it as a teaching curve. Like, right, I haven't done what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna get in the cold, cleanse my sins, and go again. You know,
Can you explain that in detail to people? What you get to the cold exposure and what it does?
Yeah, I think again, there's so much science behind it, but for me, I'm such a person that does it because it's really good for my mental health. You know, and for me, I do know a bit like the recovery and stuff like that. You know, it does help with like hormone regulation and stuff like that. But for me, like, great. But the only reason I do it, mate, is because it's really good for my spirit. You know, and that's all that matters for me. Like, I get in there and I come out feeling high as fuck, mate, basically, and I'm like, whoa, you know, it's fucking awesome. So that's why I do it, and yeah, fair enough, I might get good recovery and stuff like that, but for me it's more just for getting a bit uncomfortable, doing something that I dislike each day, just because it makes me feel good, you know.
I'm the exact same in cold showers. You come out feeling so much, whatever stress or whatever mindset I've got, if I've had a hard day's work, if I just get in a cold shower, by the time I go on cold and I do my breath work or whatever for a couple of minutes, I get out, I'm not thinking about anything that I thought about before I went in there.
Really?
You do feel happier. There's again science that's come through. It does raise all of your dopamine levels 3 times the amount, and you don't get that crash like you would do if maybe you were taking drugs. So it's such a good natural way for your mental health.
It's quite interesting because you said you do it after work. Do you normally do it after work, or would you do it? Because I would say first thing in the morning. Because if you have it later, it keeps you up longer.
It does. Yeah. Well, yeah. It depends how you are as a person. If you if you knock off straight away, fair enough. But yeah, it does naturally will give you a bit more energy. Yeah. But I do it in the morning. But again, sometimes at the end of the day, like, it depends what kind of day you have. If you get to the end of the day, you think, fuck, a really stressful day, you get in there, you do come out feeling de-stressed, you know.
And you've had a few times in the lakes as well with Ollie.
Lakes, mate.
I've seen.
Where's that? Whereabouts is that? The lakes?
Labourne Lakes, yeah, it's local, but
is it local?
Yeah. It's in the trenches, mate. You go in. It's all
Christmas
right
lake. It's around Christmas time, and he's in the lake.
Frozen lake.
Is it really?
Go in and, yeah, it's all right for me. I like to go in and just sit and breathe, like, and just focus on my breathing.
Wow.
But sometimes I do swim out, and then when you get into the open water, you're like, fuck, I can't touch the bottom. And then you feel your chest getting tight, and you're like, I need to get back into shore. But it's like, you do panic a little bit, but you've got to really try and relax. But as I say, I've got a little bit of experience with it, but I don't do like open water swimming and stuff like that.
Do you wear a swim costume, or do you just go?
Of course not, mate. No.
Mate.
Yes.
But I went, where did I go? Botany Bay, down near Margate, and it was about a month ago, so it was quite cold in the morning, and there's about 3 or 4 people there, all in their wetsuits and that. There I come along, mate, get in, just literally in my swim shorts. They look at me like I'm crazy, mate.
You are crazy, mate. That is crazy.
I think it's normal, you go straight in, mate, go for a swim, come out and crack on with the day, you know, and they look at me like I'm nutter. So, I don't know, I think it's, when you understand, I think that's where it comes back to knowledge, you know, when you understand what it's doing for you, you then can look at it in a different way.
It's understanding your body as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You obviously know that that's something you can put yourself through, or you've mentally got you're mentally ready to do something like that.
Yeah, but it's good. I tell my clients then, they're like, fuck off.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No.
I can imagine.
No.
Like, just about your clients, do you reckon, you said about pressure your clients are under, do you reckon social media has a big influence on their sort of pressure that they feel like they have to look a certain way, have to be a certain way to enter a gym?
Yeah, of course.
Do you reckon that has a big influence on that as well?
Yeah.
Or do you see clients?
Yeah, no, I think the social media stuff does affect people massively. And the problem with it is that social media is, a lot of it can be fake, mate, you know? It's a lot of, not in the sense that people really look how they do, but it's good angles, it's good lighting. Sometimes people, you know, can change that image massively. So again, it comes down to the, you know, people starting to create this vision of perfection which doesn't exist, you know. So it comes down to, you know, re-educating the person when they come in and saying, right, fair enough, I know everything you've seen, but I need you to kind of forget about that. And sometimes even say to people, this is what it is. We all know it's fake, you know, we all know what it is, but I need you to try and see it for what it is and not what you're seeing, you know. So it's, again, it comes down to change people's perspective. But yeah, I think it affects people massively.
Yeah.
You know, if you see people there that lean people, healthy people, fit people, and you're thinking, why can't I look like that? You know, but at the end of the day, yeah, they might look great in the photo, but you never know what goes on around that and stuff like that.
What some of these filters can do now is crazy, right?
Crazy, mate. Lots of catfish, mate.
You're really good at, you can challenge people's mindsets as well. I think the way you can motivate someone with that and change their perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Just having someone to influence you that way, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, but yeah, I think I always say to people, you know, like, watch what you're absorbing in your mind, like the things you take in daily. You don't really sometimes think about it too much, but it does affect how you know, your thoughts, your visions and stuff like that. And it's, I think, you know, Tyson Fury's great at it. He goes into camp and he shuts himself off You know, it's just taking away that element of another stress and information you don't need. So I've done it as well. My feed, you get rid of all the things you don't want to see, and for me, it's a lot of informative stuff now. So whenever I go on my feed, I'm seeing things I actually want to see.
Hope you're seeing us on there.
I'll see you all the time, mate. See you all the time. That's it. Yeah. My one and only follower. Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people need to work at. Create environments they want for themselves, you know, because but then again, some people, you know, they hate it when you unfollow them. You know, I went through a phase of unfollowing a lot of people, especially like old school mates and stuff like that, because don't get me wrong, yeah, fair enough, they're doing what they're doing, but I don't need to see all that kind of stuff every day, you know. Like, fair enough, I knew you once upon a time, I haven't spoken in years. I've got a lot of people messaging, you know, saying, oh, why did you unfollow me and stuff like that, and I wasn't, you know, it comes down
it's
to...
It's not malicious, is it?
No.
Just focusing on yourself.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to that own individual and their thought process on it, you know. So, yeah, it's a hard one with social media.
Seems like you've evolved and they're still in that same maybe.
Yeah, everyone does what they need to do, don't they? Yeah. But, yeah, that's just something I needed to do to improve.
Can you follow me back, please?
I might do. Yeah, I might have to after this, actually. Yeah. But yeah, no. So social media is a big thing, but it can be the greatest tool. It can be a harm weapon, you know.
Hey guys, don't forget to check out our local sponsors, Amigos Portsmouth. They're open noon till 10 p.m. delivering some of the most favourite Mexican feasts that are available.
So if you hit this link here and use the code NJB, you'll get 20% off. Cheers.
Cheers.
So with nutrition, I know you say you don't want to overcomplicate it with people. What would be if you had someone that just mainly works sitting down all day on the sofa, they come to the gym finally to talk with you.
Yeah.
What would you recommend for them? Would you just say cut fast food? What would be your first protocol?
No, so I think for me, protocols changed a lot over the years, and what I probably would do with someone is, you know, get them in, work out their maintenance on calories. So again, there's loads of calculators online, you know, BMR calculator. Look at how you got to put in. You know, as long as you know your height, weight, and age, you can crack on. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. You just got to work that out. Put it into the calculator. It will give you your BMR, basal metabolic rate, which is basically the amount of calories you burn at rest. You know, so if you were to lay in bed all day, not doing anything, you burn that certain amount of calories. I say 2,000 as a ballpark figure. So then I'm going to talk to the client and say, right, how many days a week are you exercising? What are you doing now? Where do you want to be? Once we work that out, let's get them doing 2 days a week. That's also going to be extra movement that we've got to add on to that, you know, that BMR. So let's say we've got 2,500 calories. Great. So what I'll probably get most people to do is just hit maintenance for at least the first 4 weeks. Because what a lot of people struggle with hitting a deficit. You know, like for myself, if I was to go straight away and put a 25% deficit...
Whilst introducing exercise.
Yeah, it's just so much like, what the hell's going on? You know, it's such a dip in energy and such a change in... It's too much of a change too soon.
So it's like we were talking before, those small daily victories.
Yeah,
do it slowly at a time.
Yeah, definitely.
One step at a time.
Yeah, for sure. But what you got to then do is, from maintenance, what I say to people, yeah, you're hitting maintenance calories, but you're actually... introducing a bit of exercise, so it should tip the scale a bit more in your favour. So let's say you might burn like anything from 200 to 400 calories in a workout. That should put you into a small deficit, you know. So they're not at true maintenance; they're actually hopefully slightly a little bit below. But what that then allows is that people can get comfortable with the idea of understanding calories, and I would always get them to log their calories as well.
Just be aware of what they're eating.
For sure, but I wouldn't ever recommend it as a long-term strategy. You know, I think it's such a pain in the ass going on. I know everyone says it's a short part of your day, but for me, I've never done it.
Yeah,
I don't like.
It seems like hassle. It's so much hassle.
If you have it can bring an unhealthy relationship to food.
Definitely.
If you are tracking everything and you're overthinking it, then you're not going to be able to enjoy. If you are going to treat yourself to a sausage roll or something, enjoy it. If you're going to have it, have that mindset of knowing that you're eating healthy. This is your treat. But a lot of people that are tracking it, it's very easy to get into that slump.
Yeah. I think a lot of people then start to feel guilty for having stuff like that. You know, like you have a bit of a whatever you want to call it, a cheat, a little something that you enjoy eating.
Yeah.
You then start to feel guilty, and then, you know, it becomes this vicious circle of eating healthy, eat unhealthy, feel guilty. Then you might, you know, not even go back to eating healthy because that guilt and negativity then goes back into what you were before. So it's so important to teach people that, you know, you can eat healthy, but still eat what you want, you know, around that.
Thank you, mate. Now I'm going to eat whatever I want now.
Listen,
I'm going to say
feeling guilty about eating anything, it's not good. And even for me, for years, I had an unhealthy relationship with food where at the time you don't think it is, but you feel good for eating healthy, and then you end up going off the rails. You end up, as soon as you have that one takeaway or that one whatever, you just sort of think, oh, well, I might as well.
Yeah,
it's so easy to fall up. Whereas if you've just got that good routine and discipline of, you can treat yourself, you can just be don't be so harsh on yourself with what you're intaking. But the best thing is really eat more healthier, more plant-based foods or whatever you want to focus on, and just don't eat takeaways all the time. Just cut whatever you're doing and just have the little wins.
Yeah, I think it's the 80-20 rule we said before, didn't we?
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that goes into lots of different subcategories. So, you know, 80% healthy, 20% unhealthy, whatever you want to deem that. 80% natural, 20% processed. You know, there's a lot of different ways that, you know, 80% veg, 20% fruit. So sometimes I say to clients, you know, have as much fruit as you like, but you've got to be careful. You know, some people are diabetic and stuff like that, so you have got to be careful. But, you know, some people are out there, they're like, I'm not having fruit because there's sugar in it. And it's like, fruit's one of the healthiest foods in the world. You're not having it because there's sugar in it.
Is fruit not good for diabetics, did you say?
Well, you've got to be careful because obviously the
insulin levels go high. Okay,
mate, so that's the only thing.
And again, having an unhealthy relationship with sugar and salt and things, you do need sugar, you do need those energy levels. If you're going to go and have a solid 5k in the morning, it's great, have a banana before, have whatever, but like, you shouldn't see those, it is tough because those stigmas that you see, obviously it's good intentions, but you just...
There's a lot of them out there, you know, carbs. Some people can't see saying they're not eating carbs at the minute. Right? But again, once people are educated and understand carbs isn't bad.
You need carbs to train. You need to function and to perform as well as an athlete.
And then carbohydrates are simply, you know, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, is it? So there's, you know, 3 elements that the body need. You know, you can't just take that out of your diet. You know, your body's run off all these chemicals and stuff like that, so they're important to include. But I think the problem with carbs is that they do retain a bit more water weight. So that's where the people have the issue with it. You know, if you have more carbs, higher water weight. If you have more salt, you retain a bit more water weight, you know. So I think that's where people are getting a bit of that idea that, you know, it does make them weigh more, you know, because they're retaining more water, but it's not essentially fat. You know, it's just water. It's 2 different things you're focusing on. So... yeah, I think it ultimately comes back down to what we're talking about, you know, making sure that their calories are correct for whatever their goal is. If the goal is fat loss, make sure that you're slowly tapering off calories over time. Yeah. If the goal is weight gain, again, I'm the kind of person that wouldn't really put them into a massive surplus of calories, because then you then look at putting on fat. So again, if you're just slightly above maintenance, near maintenance, but increased protein intake, then you're going to optimise muscle gain that way. So there's many different ways of doing it. A lot of traditional, you know, bodybuilding style is do a heavy weight gain and do a heavy cut. But for me, it seems like a little bit too much. I'm the kind of person that likes to stay quite fit, quite lean all year. When it comes to cutting, even if it's for like a fight and stuff like that, you know you're 80% there, so you just need to do a short cut. You know? And then when it comes to cutting for boxing, again, like, if you need to do a heavy cut before a bout, you don't really want to be reducing calories too much, because that's going to massively affect your energy levels.
Especially carbs.
Yeah.
When you're, you know, working hour and a half, 2 hour boxing sessions, you're burning over 1,000 calories in a session. Yeah. And if you're not eating, if you're skipping meals, or, you know, you can't have your bit of rice or pasta at lunch, or whatever you have, then...
It massively affect your energy. But that's why, again, if you're some clients, if they are looking to cut a bit of weight, I say to them, you know, make sure that you're carb cycling a little bit. In that sense, I mean, make sure you're eating the bulk of your carbs in and around your workout, because, you know, you've got to see it like fuel in a car. If you're doing a long car journey, you're going to fuel up, aren't you? Yeah. You know, it's the same with a workout. Make sure you're getting the bulk of that fuel in as you're putting in activity. When you're not, maybe just be a bit more fat-based and protein-based, you know. Fats are great for keeping your energy levels a bit more consistent, you know, because if you're on that carb train, it's always up and down, up and down, up and down, and that takes energy, you know, to break it down. So,
and people that try and cut fats out completely, all of the hormones come from cholesterol, So if you're going on pretty much a low fat diet, then you're going to struggle that way as well. Like, again, it all comes back to balance, having your macros right.
Balance.
And if you are having a rest day, and then don't eat as much. You know, if you're not training, then maybe you can skip a meal.
Yeah. I think the thing is, a lot of people, especially clients, they come in and they're like, oh, I don't know what my macro split is. I'm like, we're thinking like 5 steps ahead here. Like, this is way too fast ahead. I don't even think about macros because they're important, but you've got to make sure you've got all the underlying things done. Like, in terms of like a health pyramid, you know, calories are the most important thing when it comes to energy balance and weight loss and weight gain. Macros really comes towards a higher tier, like a bit more of a higher performance, you know. But for most people, you get away with probably 40% carbs, 30% fats, 30% protein.
I think it's about keeping it simple.
Simple.
It's all simple, isn't it? People, there's so much knowledge out there. You can make it complicated now. You go right back to the basics with your clients, then they've got an understanding of, right, this is all you need to do, and this is how we start your journey, and then they can evolve once they understand it.
Definitely, and I think with calories as well, there's a lot of things you can do with it. So if you work out someone's weekly calorie intake, because a lot of people enjoy weekends, they enjoy partying, they enjoy social events, they just enjoy relaxing on the weekends, you know. And especially a lot of people that maybe, you know, have a stressful life and aren't feeling fulfilled, you know, and they're not, you know, a lot of people out there not enjoying life, you know, and the weekends are that part where you can just kind of get away from it all, you know. So I think that's where, with calories, you can allow people to, if you know weekly, you can give them a little bit more on them set 2 days, but then you've obviously got to undercut them a bit for Monday to Friday. So again, people can still go out and enjoy their weekends and still hit their goals, but it comes down to understanding, you know, and having someone just say, you know, mate, you know, this is what we need to do. You can still enjoy yourself and hit your goals, you know, you just got to know, again, a bit of knowledge behind it.
That's a great point. I think weekly counting, instead of daily, obviously you cutting weight, there is no special, obviously time is a human concept, there is no special time frame of when you consume or whatever, so that is good, especially weekends. How many people out there will go out on like a Saturday? It's good that you can account for that. And
usually the Sunday's a lot heavier than the Saturday. You know, big breakfast. It's rough, mate. But again, as long as you compensate these things in, and that's why, you know, I've had some clients still get great results and still party and stuff like that. You know? So it's important that people understand that you don't have to sacrifice everything. You know, if you want to get to a certain level, you have got to sacrifice. You know, there's got to be something, because, you know, it's that saying, if it's easy, everyone will do it. You know, you can't just expect yourself to rock up and not sacrifice and not go through a bit of pain and struggle and get somewhere. But I like to work with people that, you know, all of us are quite similar as human beings. You know, there's a few people, the 1%, 2% out there that are high achievers. Fair enough, like, they can do that, you know. I'm not on that level, and I'm happy to admit that, you know. For me, I like to help the other 98% of people, you know, the other people that need a bit of help, and we're all into this, you know, this system that just needs to get a little bit better balance with, really. But balance is, again, is whatever balance is for everyone is different, and it's about helping people understand that, you know, especially with health and fitness. There can't be so much pressure on yourself. There can't be, you know, because there's so much pressure with everything else, work targets and stuff like that. You can't just, you don't need that pressure of health and fitness as well on top of children and stuff like that. So, but it's
fitting time for it, though, you feel a lot better after the training session, though.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So
if you can do it first thing in the morning, you know,
the early bird,
early bird catch.
It would just help for the struggles that come in throughout the day.
Sure.
We all go through challenges every day.
Definitely.
By doing a training session, this is from my experience, by doing a training session, it helps you manage those challenges.
For sure, it's just about how you handle stress at the end of the day, because we're all heavily worked. There's a lot going on for everyone, and
100%.
you need to find ways to manage that stress, and, you know, tools to handle it. You know, going back to cold exposure, a great way to handle stress. Exercise, eating healthy. These are all great ways to, you know, try and handle that stress.
It's good how you slowly add it with clients. Like you said, when you get someone come straight away, you're not going to be changing their diet, getting them on a big routine. You will just get them eating their standard calories, and then you just ease them in. So further down the line, let's say you've been with a client for 6 months, you know, they're active, they're doing well. What more experienced things are you going to start adding in?
it then comes, it will come down to then adding a bit more. Again, it's pretty simple stuff, but adding more natural sources of food in and trying to make sure that their diet does consist of a more, natural sourced energy rather than processed, because process is easy. But I think the thing with that is it then comes down to preparation. People really struggle preparing, people struggle stuff like that. So I think within that 6-month period, we will, as a team, going to be working at trying to find ways to reduce stress, increase their, happiness, make sure they're doing things they enjoy doing, because then that allows preparation to become a bit easier. If you're telling someone to prepare all these meals in the first week, they're probably going to do it for the first week, maybe 2, and then it all goes downhill, because it just doesn't work like that. As I say, the 2% probably can. They could probably prepare their meals and crack on, but I think for a lot of us it's difficult, myself included. If I don't make sure, if I'm preparing stuff all the time, I don't really, automatically do that. For me, if I'm going to do anything, I'll probably go to the shops, buy a pack of apples, blueberries, raspberries and a Greek yoghurt. That's, for me, a good snack to have, because there is so much processed crap. There's like Tesco meal deals and stuff like that. Which again, they've gone up in price though, haven't they?
Have they?
Mate.
Wow.
$3.50.
Well, that's inflation is a conversation for another day. We can talk about the petrol prices and stuff like that, mate.
So sad.
It's so sad.
And the cold ones are like $3.75, and you don't even get half the stuff in there. So the best thing to do is just go home and make it yourself.
Yeah, if you can.
If you can.
What was it? Them little packs of chicken. What are they called? They were
Fridge
lovely.
breakers.
Oh, mate. There's about 4 of them now in there. You go.
Is it really?
It's 4. Who's the rest? But it's awful.
It's all cutting down. They're all cutting it down, aren't they?
Cutting it down, mate.
What are your favourite meals for performing for a high workout? When you've got guys or ladies that are starting to have really high intensity sessions, what would you recommend before?
So for me, it's a hard one to answer, mate, because everyone reacts differently to certain different foods. I'm very much rice based, so I feel great on rice and beans. I'm Brazilian heritage, so my mum rice, black beans, gammon, mate. I call it Salute the Ox diet. That's all I'm eating, mate. Rice, black beans,
or white rice.
White
rice.
I don't really. For me, it comes more down to getting that good spike of energy before a workout. Brown rice a bit more slower release, whereas white can be a little bit less processed as well than brown. So this depends how you look at that. But for me, anything that's gonna give that individual good energy without detrimenting gut health and stuff like that, because some people can eat certain foods and it just really messes with their gut and stuff like that. So I want foods that are really they're going to react to well, and that's different for everyone. Some people get on really well with a fasted workout. Fair enough, you might have something like as small as a banana. You can have a banana, and I always recommend to people now, 1 teaspoon of salt in a pint of water.
Really?
Mix it up straight down. There's a great book, I don't know who the author is, but it's called Win. It's a great book, and he talks about everything.
Yeah.
And there's a massive concept about this myth about salt increasing blood pressure, but when you look at it, it only increases blood pressure in the short term. So it's literally a small spike in blood pressure, and then it regulates again. But what they found is that when you take salt before a workout, so you've got a certain amount of blood volume in the body. So when you start to exercise, your blood then has to go to the muscles worked, which means your blood volume decreases to go to the organs and stuff like that. What they found is taking sodium, reduces the amount of blood volume decrease. So, but
there's so many different variations of salt you can get now as well.
There's like pink Himalayan
salt.
It's all just crap.
Is it really? Oh, okay.
You can get away with just having perfect normal salt.
Yeah.
But I think if you get table salt, I think it has less sodium. So that's the only difference. Even though you can still get it, let's say you had like 2 grams of table salt, you might only get like 300 milligrams, whatever it is, of sodium.
Right.
Which that's the only difference. That doesn't really matter. But your body obviously runs on electrons and stuff. It needs electrolytes.
Yeah.
But salt is so important. As soon as you're running low on any electrolytes, if going into a big session, I agree.
You're in trouble.
It's huge.
Yeah, dehydration is the biggest thing. We'll be hydrated, and that's what it comes down to food choices. If you're dehydrated a lot of the time, your body then is craving for another source of energy.
Because that's processed foods, I guess that they take away a lot of your water.
They've got high in salt.
They got high in salt.
If you're eating clean, you need salt, and you're probably not getting enough salt in your diet. And obviously, even though you need salt, if you are eating quite clean, that a lot of people do, then like you said, put a teaspoon of salt in your pint of water and
bit of creatine, stuff like that.
Wicked, man. So what's your do you work with it? You mentioned boxing quite a bit.
Yeah.
Obviously was our background, but have you worked with boxers before?
On the short term, yeah. The short term.
Pros or amateurs?
No, more amateurs than anything. So I mean, for me, like, sport performance is something, if I wanted to get into, I could. It's just, for me, it's not really a goal of mine. But again, I enjoy working with, because it's a problem solving, you know, like, and everyone has their own style. Some people say try and lift this weight off the ground as heavy as you can, try and do this, that and the other. But I think in anything, you've got to try and keep it as realistic as possible. You know, you're going to be hitting a jab, cross hook, uppercut, good leg movement and lower body work as well. So I think you've got to have a good, diverse, you know, rep ranges and different exercises. But I really like explosive work with weight. I think it's very practical, you know. If you can hit a right cross with a T-bar hitting upwards, you know, that can pass across quite nicely in ring and stuff like that. But again, it's not something I've dipped into too much, but obviously knowing the theory, again, it's pretty basic, you know. You've got to do your compound lifts, your squat, deadlift. Again, you don't always have to do a deadlift conventional. You've got to be careful with that, because sometimes it applies it will apply more pressure to your lower back.
Trap bar instead?
Trap bar, exactly.
Yeah, so or raised deadlifts, right?
You can raise, you can do rack pulls and stuff like that. But yeah, the great thing with trap bars, then it allows you to keep chest taller, which means less strain through the lower back. But again, some people it can work really well with a conventional, others you might have to go trap. So it's little things like that, you know, that are good to know. It's, again, comes down to a bit of knowledge around it as well. Yeah. Different forms of squats, but again, it comes down, that kind of stuff's great. But I think, again, if you're looking to get the most out of things, you've got to do stuff you enjoy most, you know. I think enjoyment is the key to most things.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to get to the end of your life and, you know, have a life where it was all like about doing things you didn't want to do? Or was it about you lived a life that was, you know, you enjoyed it, it was exciting every day? Like, I think it's so important with fitness, you know. Don't do it because you think you have to do it, you know. Do it because you want to do it. And it's so important, and yeah, things like that.
But the thing is that some of the things that I don't want to do are the best things for me.
Yeah, I agree.
But that sacrifice, I think, it does make you feel the best. Like, you know, it's when you do start taking away certain things and you start having to do certain things that you don't want to do, you end up feeling the best you've ever felt.
Yeah, as Mike Tyson said, discipline is doing what you hate doing it, by doing it as you love it.
Yeah, true.
So I guess there's so there's an aspect of it where you have to do what you don't like.
Yeah, definitely. I think as you get to a certain level, that definitely is the case. It is the case. Like, again, for the boxing scene, if you want to get it at a high level, you have to sacrifice. You know, straight up.
There's a lot of imbalances in boxing, and there's a lot of problem. If you're an amateur boxer and you don't go to the gym, of course, for you as a personal trainer, you talk about deadlifts and all these things. A lot of boxers have rounded shoulders. They might not have quite good leg strength. They might have one leg a bit stronger than the other because of the way you're always positioned, your back. There's so many imbalances that I feel, if you were to go to the gym and you were to have a bit of time out and just focus on the basics of just building your basic body strength. Like, a lot of people go into a sport trying to be really good, whether it's boxing, tennis or whatever, but if you can build a good base and you can get your body moving every functional, I think that's so important before you learn how to do the advanced stuff.
Definitely.
And you know Ross Edgley quite well, he's brilliant at explaining that.
Yeah, no, he's very good, and I think it's so important to a bit more like single leg, single arm isolation work to really, and it really exposes them imbalances. You know, if you do like a Turkish get up, which is a heavy core, heavy, like, just all over the movement pattern, you really notice it on there. You do it on your right, you're like, focus on right-handed, lovely.
Left side, I can't even lift up, I have to go lighter weight.
Yeah, lefty, let's go. Like, that jab's doing nothing, but yeah, I think it's really good to do that, and sometimes it can be a bit of a curse rather than a blessing, because I was on the golf course today and it's all left side dominant, left side rotation. You know, I think I hold about my right hand just so compensate a bit. But it's good to know, but sometimes too much can be a bit like, oh god. You start then looking at diet and nutrition, and you know how bad it is for you, and then you start to look at the food you enjoy and like, shit, all that oil and that is gonna really fuck me up a bit. So But I think you got to enjoy it when you can. I love a burger and stuff like that. I love it, mate. I wouldn't live life.
Can't tell, mate. You look in good shape still, right?
I'm all right, a bit heavier than usual, but
98 kilos.
I reckon, a few Big Macs after this, mate. 100.
At the 100 kilos. So, are you looking to? Obviously, you got quite a good connection in boxing. You said. Are you looking to compete yourself? Are you looking to train? Are you looking to do something in boxing?
Yeah, I mean, at the minute, it's not looking likely, unfortunately. But I think it's one of the things that I always do because I enjoy it. You know. I think a lot of people, it comes down to commitment. You know. I think if I haven't got that commitment, it doesn't really happen. You know. It's like. I would like to have like a few glasses of wine and that every so often.
Yeah.
I think when you're going in the ring and you know you're putting your life in the line, essentially, you know you can't be doing things like that, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, do you know what? Boxing is one of those sports where you go into a gym and a coach says, you know, you got to spar. Oh, no, you can fight next week. But there's so much more to it. You can enjoy the health aspect of it, the lifestyle aspect of it. There's so much of it that's so good. That you don't just have to compete, you can do just outside, you can just do as a fitness.
No, definitely.
And that's where the sport, I think, is slowly changing.
Massively.
You see things like more boxercise, you see all these different things and stuff coming involved.
No, definitely.
So you can certainly just enjoy the sport.
Definitely. And to be fair, I quite enjoy being on the pads more than anything.
Taking the pads or?
I love being on the pads, mate.
Yeah. What, you're the next Mayweather?
Mayweather Senior.
Yeah, Mayweather Senior.
I love it. Grateful, but it's good, especially when you're doing stuff with like good training partners, like Luke, for example. You know, I think a good training partner is really important because you then can like get a bit competitive. You then, like, without yourselves even knowing, you're getting competitive. You know, you're pushing each other. You're there. You know, you're meeting up at certain places to do a good session together.
Good.
So I think a training partner is very important to a lot of people. You know,
with the same mentality.
Yeah,
who wants to improve. Yeah.
You know, and I think like when it comes to high level, having good people to compete against. You know, some of the best people in the world were only as good as they were because they were fighting good people. You know, they were up against other serious people, which made their level go up.
Iron sharpens iron, as they say, right?
Definitely. So I think if you're out there and you need to get a better, you know, surround yourself with good people. You know, that's really important. And sometimes that can be a good training partner. It might be someone that you meet at a gym or a class or, you know, a boxing gym, wherever it is. But a good training partner, I think, is really important. More important than you realise, I think.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Definitely.
So I've got a few quick fire questions.
Go on.
So first of all, for people that want to put on muscle, of course you need to eat protein and train. But what would you say to someone who wants to get big as quickly as possible? Just get put on lots of muscle.
Someone like me now, man.
Muscle.
Someone like me.
Quick steroids, mate. Straight on them.
Naturally.
6 kilo a year, mate. Sound good? No. I think with anything, the diet's got to be right first of all. If the diet isn't right, the weight gain won't happen. So if you want to put on size quick, slight surplus, it'll probably go 500 over maintenance. Then in terms of training style, you want to be in a state where, you know, it's lots of hypertrophy, so a lot of muscle growth. And really,
can you explain hypertrophy? So like higher reps, right?
Yeah, you want to. Yeah, there's a fine margin of it, and they do overlap each other. So strength building would be anything from like 1 to 5, let's say. Hypertrophy could go anything from maybe like 5, 6 to maybe 12, and then endurance could be, you know, 12 onwards. So they're your ranges in terms of what you're going to get out of it. And I think hypertrophy is, again, I think, if anything, you're putting stress on the body. So when you're working out, make sure that you are working out to near failure. It doesn't have to be to failure every set. So imagine you're doing 10 reps of bicep curl, 10 being the most you can do. You can't do any more than that. Don't always have to hit 10. Probably 10 would be best to get the most out of it. But if you're hitting 8 to 10, that's perfect. So in the gym, I'm going to make sure you're working to near failure. We're going to do things like drop sets, supersets. I might get you to do 10 reps of bicep curl. So let's say 10 kilo bicep curl for 10. We exhaust you fully at that weight. We then go down to 8 kilo and try and do as many reps as possible. So you're just creating more additional stress onto that muscle, which, you know, is really going to optimise muscle growth. So stuff like that, you know, is really important. I think the way you train and your intensity of training is just as important, you know, as consistency, because you could be going to the gym 5 days a week, but if you're putting in 3 out of 10 effort, you're getting nowhere, you know, just staying where you're at. So I think it's important that you're creating the correct intensity with your workouts, and I think that's where a lot of people need a trainer for, because they just sometimes, you know, don't want to put the effort in, don't know how to put the effort in, and they just need someone there to push them a little bit. So that's what I do a lot of the time, is, you know, create these different training stimuluses and put it onto someone, you know, showing them different forms like trisets, drop sets, supersets, force reps, all these different ways of training, and just giving them a better idea. So yeah, if you're putting on muscle, that's probably the best way, you know, train to near failure or to failure.
So don't sit on your phone 10 minutes in between each bench set. You know, actually have a good scheduled amount of add stress to your stimuli, whether it's adding weight, adding reps, progressive overload, maybe reducing your time of recovery.
Exactly, yeah. I think progressive overload is essentially that, you know, making sure that you can progress in exercise, but it doesn't just have to be with weight, it can be with time under tension, reducing the amount of rest and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be just, you know, weight, because over time that does put more stress in the joints and stuff like that. Maybe you don't want that out of it. But yeah, again, progressive overload as well over the long period.
Because a lot of people end up doing the same things. You might get clients that have been in the gym for the last few years, but they might run the same 5k, they might lift the same weight. You know, you're going to be the same size forever. You need to change some way.
Yeah, because what you find, you know, the body's a smart thing. What you find is, you know, the body expenditure adjusts to the stimulus put on it. So say if you are running a certain 5k every day, your body then knows that so well that it will start to reduce your output, because it's so comfortable where you're at, you know. It's like
there's less stress, isn't it?
Less stress. So then you just want to do something, you know, if it's changed the route, if it's changed the splits you're doing, you might do 1k fast, 1 slow, 1 fast, 1 slow. It's that changing and, you know, adjusting that's so important with training. So
what splits do you like in the gym? If you were to have someone that maybe trained 5-6 days a week, that was quite serious about training, what splits do you think have the most beneficial?
I think the more days you're there, you can be a bit more specific with the splits. So you can, you know, do a push-pull legs, or even more specific, you know, chest, shoulders, back. I think when it comes to like, functional training and training for sport, you want to include one different form of compound in each session. So one could be a back squat, one could be a hip thrust, one could be a deadlift, and one could be even like a front squat or something, you know, or a bench press or a military press. So you want to involve one of them compounds. And then for me, I'd probably put certain isolations in a different schedule. So an isolation is more, you know, single arm move or single legs. I'm just working the quad or the hamstring. Whereas a compound, you're working a lot of different muscle groups in one lift. So I'd make sure that I'm involving everything in a structured way that wouldn't allow them to fatigue so much in the gym, you know. On the off season, fair enough, you work them hard, but when someone's in camp or whatever, you know, you're just working on the little things and adjusting as you go.
And next, recovery. So if you are training often and you want to start recovering better, how would you advise recovery methods?
Mate, the most underrated is sleep by a mile. You know, making sure you're getting good sleep in.
What's good sleep? How long is good sleep?
For me, mate, I think it's more quality rather than, you know, the quantity of sleep.
But what is quality? 7 to 8? 5? What?
I think it's like getting into more deep sleep, you know. Like you could be getting 7 hours of sleep, but if you're not getting over an hour of deep sleep, you're in trouble, you know. That's where a lot of the recovery takes place. So everyone's different. Again, some people, you know, night owls and stuff like that, they can stay up later, sleep less and feel just as good. For me, I'm in bed early, I need at least 7 to 8 good quality sleep and stuff like that. So I think you've got to make sure that you're getting into good states of sleep, you know, good amount of deep sleep, REM and stuff like that, and making sure your sleep isn't that interrupted. But again, if you've got family and stuff like that, young kids, it's more difficult. But I think the best things you can do for yourself, you know, in terms of a sleep point of view, is try and get out early, You know, get some early sunlight in the morning, make sure you're exercising, and again, reducing the amount of light you're getting in the evenings, which is hard, you know.
Yeah, it's hard.
You're just on the old social light before bed, one more post.
And and that can help reduce your sleep as well, because the blue light or whatever of the screen, it makes you stay awake longer as well. But it's good that you said about going to sleep early, because that's something our cameraman Radu can learn. He's a bit of a night owl.
Oh, is he?
He likes staying up quite late and working there.
Yeah, working till late. I can't do it. Some people are really good at it. I like to get all my tasks done in the morning.
Yes,
and then
same.
for me, afternoon and evening, it's a bit more like time to just spend reading, relaxing, journaling, winding down and stuff like that. I'm very much a big thinker in the evenings, but
amazing.
Again, it's about creating the right thinking patterns rather than...
But you said you do journaling. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, journaling's good.
Is that 6-minute diary, 5-minute diary? Is that what you...
Still that, but yeah, again, my journaling's evolved over time, and it's become more of like a check-in with my emotions in each day, you know, like how have I felt today? Why has this made me feel like that? How do I want to feel, you know? And then sometimes it does become a bit more of like a visualization process. It's like, right, how do I want to feel? How am I going to make myself feel better? What things am I going to, you know, include in my daily life that would make me feel better as well? So journaling is very much becoming an in-depth process of just emotional intelligence more than anything, you know?
Amazing.
Because, as anyone, you know, everyone has their struggles and past struggles, and for me it's allowed me to get better understanding of emotion, you know, which I think is important, because you can get a lot of situations where you feel a bit anxious, you feel a little bit, all sorts of emotions throughout the day.
And it's understanding when you're feeling that.
Exactly.
And I guess if you have mechanisms to how you can deal with it in that situation, it'll help you overcome it a lot quicker, right?
For sure. And again, I think visualisation's massive. And again, it's not something I've really ever understood how to do properly until I've got a little bit older, you know. Sometimes you visualise yourself doing certain things, and I think it's so important because you have always got to try and put a bit of effort into understanding kind of who you want to become and how you're going to become that person. Because if you know, visualisation is a process in which you can, how you think is how you can actually feel, you know. If you're always thinking about bad things, negative things, that, you know, actually puts that stimulus onto you, you know, you're actually thinking that, feeling them thoughts. So it's so important to actually visualise yourself in a good place, and if you want to be a bit more confident, you know, visualise yourself being a bit more confident, you know, and like stuff like that. So it's quite a powerful tool, really. I advise a lot of people to do it, especially if you're on like a journey of fitness and becoming a better individual, you know, understanding that you can, you know, visualise yourself becoming that person. That is really important. So,
and eventually it would happen, wouldn't it? If you have it will happen. Just have that belief that that can happen.
I think belief's important as well.
I think we've talked about visualization quite a lot in our podcasts before. Quite a few people have recommended it.
Yes,
especially in sport. As you said, in sport, visualize you knocking out your opponent, your hand being raised or whatever. That all helps you get to the end goal.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to play a lot of tennis. I remember going like to tournaments, Kent County and stuff like that, and I'd rock up and I'd be so like anxious and this person, I knew it was like, I've got matched up, I think it was the third seed, so I knew I was going to get hammered, but just that thought process before the match already meant that I'd lost before I even entered the court. You know, and looking back, it was like, damn, like I wish I entered that with a little bit more faith and belief, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, sometimes the way you think before you do things massively shows, and if you have belief and a bit of, you know, determination towards that event, it's massive. And it's like, what was that, Buster Douglas, mate, when he went in with Mike Tyson, you know, there was so many things in going into that
was against him,
that allowed, but which also meant that he won the match, you know. So it's, I think the way you think in going into certain things is really important as well.
I think we had a sports psychologist on a few weeks back, Shaq. She was saying even visualise things going against you. So as you said, you're facing the number one seed. Having all that visualised so you know straight away that how to deal with it mentally.
Stuff like that,
I think that setting yourself up for that as well would help you.
Yeah, massively. And there was another one, it was Eddie Hall when he done the 500 kilo deadlift. So they were talking about a bit more in depth of like his psychology going into that. And he went, you know, he's saying he had to go into a dark place for that because the way he set himself to do that was that he was visualising, you know, himself pulling a car off of close people. Like there was a serious incident and he had to pull a car to save his family. And you know, when he went into that 500 kilo, he tapped into that, which allowed him to do that there. So that in itself shows the power of visualization, you know. And sometimes, you know, I try and do that a little bit of my training, you know. You try and think, right, if I don't do this, a certain thing will happen.
Yeah.
So it
but that goes in a dark place though, doesn't it?
It does get dark.
You get it,
yeah. You got to do it, and you can't do it too often. You got to do it at the right time.
Yeah.
I love what you said about visualization, not even to do with sports, just with you being in a better place mentally.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. Obviously, I think about visualization and maybe walking into the ring, throwing certain punches, but for you to just sit there and think of when you're happiest, like the sun's out today, you know, just having those thoughts and just really taking it in. It's nice to hear it in that perspective, because I haven't really thought of it that way. I'm going to try practicing that.
Yeah.
It's a great bit of advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of daily gratitude, you know, really important. And it's something that I think about a lot, you know, like sometimes you go through life and everyone wants to achieve and everyone wants to do the best they can, but I think sometimes it comes to a point like when does it end?
Yeah. So many things to be grateful for.
Yeah, there is.
The next thing anyway, that's human nature.
Yeah, but then you look around you and think, there's so much around me. You know, I'm here and I'm always looking for more. And it's like, when does it come to an end? You know, like, there's got to be a point where I can just sit back and actually start to appreciate where I am, who I am, and what I've got around me. And, you know, it's not until recently I've really tried to dip into that a bit and, you know, not always think, where's the next thing? Like, no. Just like stop thinking and start enjoying what you've got right now. It's so important. And the next thing you know, it's 20 years ahead and from fuck, everything I wanted was what I had before. So it's a hard one, you know. I think there's good balance to it.
It's good to have, exactly, the balance.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be hungry, you want them to, like, you know, if you're an athlete and you want to push to the next level, then you do need that push. You can't be content.
No.
But then also, when you are away from that, you can't be 100% all the time.
No.
Let's say you've just gone beast mode in the evening, you've had a good boxing session. You can go back now and you can just appreciate what you've got and just be happy with. Yeah, I think there's that balance of switching between those
at the right time. That's important. But again, I think that's why it's great to work with a coach, because a coach, especially if they're very knowledgeable, will understand that. Yeah. Especially now going to football terms, Sir Alex Ferguson was such a great person and understanding people and what they needed at certain times.
Yeah.
I think what happened now?
I think David Beckham.
Oh, did he get kicked? No, that was the boot. Wasn't it a football boot?
Treatment, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
It was the football boot. Yeah, it was the boot. The boot. He kicked the boot.
Hairdryer.
No, hairdryer was what he used to give the football players, like when they're misbehaved.
Yeah.
They've misbehaved. That's a bit school word, isn't it? When well, to be fair, he was like a teacher, wasn't he?
He was.
He was a teacher, wasn't he? And what a teacher.
Yeah. I think a great example was Cantona. Was it Cantona? But he come in. I remember he was going through a bad time. I think it was in France or something.
Leeds.
Yeah, he was.
Leeds.
He was a very just all over character. Yeah. Wasn't by the rules. I think he come to an event. All the other team was suited and booted in their red ties and that. And Cantona come up in jeans and all this scruffy gear. And all the players look at him thinking, why is he allowed to do that and we're not? And kind of Alex Ferguson looked at him and looked at the team and said, you've got to let him try and be his own individual, let him be his character. You know, and that really allowed him to be a bit more respect towards coach. But every other player's thinking, why him? Why is he allowed to do that? We're not. But Alex Ferguson saw something that no one else could see. Yeah. And it was that by allowing him to be himself, he could get the most out of him.
And it shows you how far ahead Alex Ferguson was in his thinking.
Yeah.
Loads of the old school coaches, going back to that, they were like, get changed, you're not going there, You see it. You see it from those coaches. But he showed you he wanted him to be comfortable in his personality, and that's how we got the best out of him. And that's in any athlete. If you're going to let them feel comfortable in their skin, in who they are, and then they'll grow and perform better.
Any human being.
People
approaching James just want to feel better. When you come to the deep realisation that you just want to be more confident, be happier, then it's the same thing.
Definitely. And, it always comes back down to how that person feels mentally, Everyone can have all the knowledge and the theory and read all the books, but if you don't understand what motivates someone and what makes them feel the best that they can, then you don't really get anywhere with it. You can have as much theory as you want, but if you can't work them,
you can't work with people.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't work with people, and it seems like starting from your journey, how you said earlier, you're quite an introvert person, and how you've evolved into the character that you are now.
Yeah, getting
shows your progression as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, I've read a lot of books. gained all the tools, you know, but for me it comes to a point where you can read all that stuff and you do get all the tools, but if you haven't fixed things like before in the past and that always comes back. So you've got to make sure that and that's why journaling is so great, because you can go back in time, understand certain situations and think about how that isn't you know, and how you can evolve from that. Everyone has past traumas, past problems, past shit that's happened to them.
Yeah.
Fair enough, you know, and I think that's why it's so important to live in the present, but also to, and that's where it comes back to daily, being present in the daily, because if you're so present daily, the past becomes a bit more blurred and forgetful, and you know, but you've got to understand your roots. But again, you've got to think that you're not that person. I think a lot of people come into fitness failing so many times to lose weight, and they never do it, and they think they're that person, you know, but it's a hard job for me to then get someone in the gym and, you know, let them know that they're not them, they're past failures, and that they can do a different way, and that's where visualisation comes in massively. So
amazing.
The battle of the mind, mate.
Battle of the mind. That's a good word.
You mentioned books. I do want to ask.
Yeah.
So coming to the end of the podcast now, could you recommend a couple books to people that? What would you say has been the most influential that's changed your? Because you've got such a good way of thinking about life. Which is so important.
Yeah.
What could redirect some of the viewers?
I'll give you one like on each subcategory. So I think if you look for something spiritual and something that touches your soul a bit, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Yes, Robert Sharma.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
The story is just so beautiful, and you know, it's a story of a man that had it all. You know, he had all the wealth, he had the Ferrari, he had the money, he was a lawyer. You know, big job, big money, but it felt so unfulfilled. And goes on a journey and, you know, becomes a monk and all this self-discovery. And it's a great book because it really touches your soul. So I think that's always important. In terms of a book on like general fitness knowledge and stuff like that, obviously Ross Edgley has a good one, World's Fittest Book. Yeah. The theory in that is incredible, like progressive overload, specific training. Yeah, that's a great book.
What's that book called, sorry?
The World's Fittest Book.
The World's Fittest Book?
Yeah.
Okay, let's check that out.
No.
I could lend it to you when I'm done.
Yeah. Resiliency as well, that's okay. That's a good book.
So it's brilliant with Ross Edgley how he really, James can explain as well, he puts all of the theory that he learned into practice for everything he's done. So he's pushed the human body to limits, like you could name some of these. He did a marathon pulling a car around a racetrack.
What?
He showed endurance and strength. He busted so many myths, but he swam around the whole of Great Britain without going on land once. It took him how many days?
I can't remember.
180 days or something.
What? How did he sleep?
On a boat.
Oh, on a boat. Okay.
Yeah.
When you said on the
Yeah, he would stop there, but if you read his book, he puts everything just into a basic plan, from basic foundation training that we were saying, like the Russians are really good at it, how they just do full body training, etc. And then he goes into more advanced stuff. So yeah, I think that's
a really good book, and it's good for most people. You know, it's not too specific and stuff like that. It's quite broad.
Great, we'll check that out.
Yeah, and there's a lot more out there. There's so much out there.
I read the 5 AM book club by Robin Sharma. That was a really good book, wasn't it?
But I took that quite literally and was doing 5 AM wake ups. And
I took it quite literally.
We got we got hate off one guy. He was like, 5 AM, but I'm asleep.
One guy that didn't like it. I guess it comes down to personality, who you are as a person. Yeah. But for me, I took it the same as you. I took it literally. I was doing it for about 6 months.
Yeah, I did for a long time.
Yeah, and then
burnt me out eventually. But what I understood with it though is that I think the idea of the book isn't that you have to get up at 5 AM. It's the principles that are taught within the book. So the 20-20-20 rule, that's what stuck with me forever. So that's 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of, is it breathing?
It's meditation, reading, and 20 minutes of learning. 20 minutes of learning.
So that means you can get up whenever you want on the day, but you do the same thing in the first hour. So
it's just a standard day, because I think the way he said it was, someone gets up at, say the day starts at 7.
Yeah.
Then your day just at 5 o'clock to spend an hour on yourself, which is it's so easy to forget about that. To forget about yourself, but by doing that, having that time to yourself is how you can evolve, I guess, as a person.
Yeah.
So it's a really good book.
Yeah,
that's actually the first book I've ever finished in my life.
Was it?
Yeah,
it's a great book.
Good book to start on. Yeah.
Really good one to start.
Do you not read books at school?
Oh, okay, little books like this, yeah. Little books. But I mean, like, yeah, those sort of things. But
Yeah.
oh, that was the one, wasn't it? That was the one.
Deep ending, mate.
That was a deep
I
ending.
remember I was in your English class. Someone had written in the front book, "Lenny dies."
Oh yeah.
In the first page. So yeah, that was a bit sad, wasn't it?
In terms of books, I think there's so many out there, and if people want any recommendations, I can always send them all my list to you, and then you can
Forward it on there.
recommend them out there.
We'll put your social media.
We'll put your social media. So what is your what's your social media page?
It's so bad, I don't even know it. I've just changed it. I think it's at james.o'neill.
At James.O'Neill.
If it's
Okay.
right, so what? Try and find me if you can, but yeah. As I say, I'm on it from time to time, but I'm trying to just do my own thing, and stuff like that. I'll try and put stuff out when I can.
Do you help people online, or is it just in person that you're doing?
I do some online stuff as well.
Great.
In terms of like programming, so yeah, you can come to me. I can give you a program, use great software, and then we track your numbers, track your weights, make sure you are progressively overloading over time. So yeah, I do a bit of online stuff as well. So
Top man, James. I appreciate all that.
no, it's all right. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers for the podcast, mate. That was a great podcast. I think I've learned a lot now that I'm going to take away myself. So
good.
yeah, thank you so much.
As long as you got something from it.
Yeah, enjoy your mentality.
Nice one.
Top man.
Cheers. Thank you. Cheers.
Nice one, pal. Cheers, guys. Thank you for listening.